Good morning. Let's start by reading our learning target. This week in reading, we're doing something new, so we need to know where our focus needs to be this week. I can explain how images support the words in a text to show and describe information. Let's look at some words in here that we know. What are some words that we know in this learning target? Well, we know what words in a text are, right? What are the words in a text? It's the things that the author writes. What about information? Is information something that's made up, or is that real, true facts? Those are the real, true facts. So when someone gives us information, they're giving us facts to learn, okay? Now, we know about, there's a couple of words in here that we've seen a lot, but I think it's important for us to point out that we still need to practice those. Explain and describe. Remember, explain means to describe with clear details, okay? Describe means to tell more. So if we're describing, we're telling more. If we're explaining, we're giving those clear details on how something is done, okay? Now, there are a couple of words in here that I want us to focus on. Images and support, okay? All right, let's look at this word image. An image is a picture, an illustration, or a photograph that's in a text. This is a type of text feature, okay? Images, pictures, illustrations, or the photographs. One type of image that you might see is a diagram. A diagram is a simple drawing that is used to explain something, to clearly describe it, okay? So this diagram is also a type of text feature. It's actually a kind of image, okay? We're going to be looking at diagrams this week, and we're going to be seeing how these simple drawings can support the words in a text. Let's look at that word support. Support means to help explain or provide evidence for a main idea in a text. So when I think of the word support, I think about the legs on a chair. The legs on the chair support the top part of the chair where we sit. So in turn, the legs are supporting us. They're holding us up. When we are supporting an idea, we are giving facts and details that help to explain and provide evidence on the main idea, okay? So we're going to talk about how images, pictures, photographs, illustrations, diagrams are supported, being able to be explained and described in detail and connect to the words in a text, okay? All right, guys. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at, in our Ready Reading Journal, at page 296. Page 296. When you get to that page, you should see a fire engine. A fire engine. You've probably seen fire trucks up close, haven't you? Maybe you didn't know what all the parts were called. We're not going to learn about all the parts, but we're going to learn about some important parts of the fire engine today, okay? All right, so I'm going to go through the read section just to help point out those key words that we need to know in order to be able to do this lesson, okay? Let's start at the read section. You're going to follow along with me, and we're going to circle some important words. When you read, pictures and other images can be as important as words. They can support or help explain information in the text. For example, diagrams are drawings that show the different parts of something. They can also show how something works. So we're going to read the sentences and we're going to look at the diagram below. So that's what I want us to do first. Read the sentence and then look at the diagram. I want you to go ahead and do that on your own. Read the sentences and look at the diagram below. When you're done, you may unpause the video. All right, now we have a question that we need to answer, and we're going to go back and look. We're going to answer the question, how do they work together to help you understand the parts of a fire truck? When it's talking about this this pronoun they, it's talking about the words and the diagram. So it wants to know, how do the words and the diagram work together to help you understand the parts of a fire truck? Because remember, in our learning target, we're talking about how the images support the words to help us understand the information the author is trying to tell us. So the words say, the driver of a fire truck sits in the cab. A ladder and a hose are connected to the main part of the truck. The hose is long and can stretch far from the truck. We have a light, the cab, a ladder, the body, the hose, and the wheels. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go back through and we are going to look for the things that the words include and the diagram includes. When we read the words from the text, if we have that information in our diagram, we're going to just put a check mark above it, okay? The driver of a fire truck sits in the cab. Does the diagram show the cab? Yeah, so I'm going to put a check mark there. A ladder and a hose. Here's the ladder. That was included in the words. Here's the hose. That was included in the words. The ladder and a hose are connected to the main part of the truck. The hose is long and can stretch far from the truck. Okay? So here in the text, it told us about the main part of the truck, didn't it? In our diagram, what is the main part of our truck called? It's called the body. See, the ladder and the hose are connected to the body of the truck, okay? So we're going to put a check mark above that too, because the diagram, the words did talk about the main part of the truck. The diagram showed us that main part and told us that it was called the body. Now we're going to go through and we are going to circle the labels on the diagram that were not mentioned in the words. The light was not mentioned in the words, and the wheel was not mentioned in the words, was it? Okay? So there were a lot of things that were included in our words, and there were some things that were included in the diagram that were not included in the words, huh? We can even learn more information about the things that were included in the words by looking at our diagram. We can see the hose and how it's connected to the truck. We can see what the ladder looks like, can't we? We can also see where the cab is, and I'm thinking about seeing a fire truck and seeing that the person that's driving it is in the cab, and usually the other firefighters are sitting, right behind that cab, aren't they? So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the graphic organizer on the next page. We're going to take what we found from the words in the diagram and we're going to organize it in our graphic organizer, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and let's look at our graphic organizer. So it says what the text tells, what the diagram shows. Look again at the page about the fire truck. Complete the chart and tell what information that you learned from the sentences and the diagram. So the sentences tell us about the cab, right? But what did the sentence tell us about the cab that the diagram didn't? The sentence told us that the driver of the fire truck sits in the cab. So the text tells us the driver is in the cab. We didn't learn that from the illustration. We probably could gather that information, but the text just flat out told us, didn't it? The text also told us that the ladder and the hose are connected to the main part of the truck, right? So it also told us the ladder and the hose are connected to the main part. Right? What else did the words tell us that the diagram didn't? The words told us that the hose was really long and could stretch. Here in our diagram, we see the hose, but it doesn't give us that information that it can stretch. So the words tell us that the hose can stretch. Can stretch far. All right, so here's some information that the text gave us that the diagram didn't. But now we want to know what the diagram shows. Let's start by talking about the things that were not included in the words. Remember, there were two parts that the diagram included that the words did not. The diagram included the lights and the wheels. We could even learn from the diagram where the lights and the wheels are located, can't we? Where are the lights located on the truck? At the front of the truck. Where are the wheels at on the truck? Yeah, we know that there's one wheel in the front, one wheel on the back, and it would be that same way on the other side, right? So the diagram shows the lights on the top front of the truck. Okay? What else does our diagram tell us? It told us about the wheels, right? The truck has wheels. Okay? What else did the diagram tell us that we didn't learn from the text? Now, it did tell us that the driver sits in the cab, and we can see where the cab is. It's at the front, which would make sense for the driver to sit there. The text told us about the ladder and the hose being connected to the main part. But when we look at the diagram, where is the ladder connected to the main part? It's on the top, isn't it? So we learned that from the diagram. The ladder is on the top of the truck. Okay? What about the hose? The text told us that the hose was connected to the main part. But the diagram can give us some more specifics of where the hose is located in the main part. Where is the hose located at? It's located in the middle of the body, isn't it? I'm running out of room. The hose, should have written smaller. The hose is at the middle of the truck. Okay? So here we learn some different things based on the images and the text, didn't we? Okay, that diagram showed us more specifics or even gave us more information about the lights that the text didn't give us. The text told us some things that the diagram didn't. Like one thing that I think is really important is how far the hose can stretch. We couldn't see that in the diagram, but we did read that in the words. And with the words and with the diagram, we know more about the fire truck, don't we? All right, guys, I want you to go ahead and do question number, the think section. It says the sentences in the diagram of the truck help you understand the parts of the fire truck. Talk with a partner about how the diagram makes the sentences easier to understand. So I want you to talk with someone and answer that question. How does the diagram make the sentences easier to understand? Okay. Let's go ahead and pause the video and talk with someone about that sentence. All right, guys, so we are going to continue with this idea of how our images can support our text to help us describe and show more information in our learning.